Hey everybody, it is April 4, 2023. As usual, I'm not sponsored. I am not monetized, so you're going to get a full honest review. What you're looking at is Project Malleus Parabellum. This was designed by John Bear Ross, and I'll be calling him JBR from here forward. I have known him for a couple years. He asked me to be brutal on my review of the kit, so that's what I'm going to do. Again, I'm not sponsored. I'm not getting paid for this. Getting no freebies or anything like that. Full honest review. So what are you looking at? You're looking at a giant ass mech. Big mech. Heavily 80s inspired. Inspired by, I think you know what that is. From a certain American mecha game. A certain anime series available in Japan and in the US. Okay, you know what that is. This is a miniature that I am working on for a friend. Should be done here shortly. Just got to really do the basing and a little bit of touch-up work. So anyway, what I'm doing, as you can see, is mostly put together. And the reason why I stopped in the middle of this build is because there are some things I want to point out. I apologize for the audio. It makes my voice sound higher because I'm doing it on my phone. So let me go ahead and get into this for you. So that way, when you do your build, you do not run into the issues I ran into. So here is a Primaris Space Marine, just for size. I'll show you here in a minute. This is not together, as you can see. I'll put this to the side. So this is lower torso. This leg comes in 3 parts. Comes foot, calf, upper assembly, the pelvis, torso, and then this piece of armor here. This is all put together. Let's focus on the leg real quick. So as I said, the leg is pretty big. That's the upper part. There's the calf assembly. There's the foot. So when you're putting this together, obviously these vents, they go forward. It's got these 3 little notches here, and then this part right here. So this goes like this. What I would like to have seen, these 3 rivets, they kind of go in here really well. As JBR pointed out, it's not supposed to be like a ninja mech like you see in Gundam or anything like that. This is a walking tank. Its intention is to destroy anything and everything downrange. Okay? So maybe this could have been done a little bit differently. Maybe the notches could be right here. It's fine. It's just somewhat of a pain when you're trying to glue it together because you're going to have to hold it in the position that you need to put it in. Well, that's neither here nor there. The foot has a ball joint. Put it in. Gives you a pretty good range. That's about as far as it could go there. A little bit of an ankle swivel. So it's good. You could get some posability on it. It's not really a dynamic posability. That's not what it's intended for though. Again, it's a big giant freaking tank to destroy anything and everything downrange. So your arms, you're gonna have 2 weapon possibilities, possibly more. JBR does have some other stuff on his Cults page, Cults 3D, that all you have to do is upscale. But what this kit comes with is a plasma rifle available in both left and right arms, and 2 rail cannons, again, available in both left and right arms. These are pretty freaking big. They're pretty huge. And these are all solid pieces. Everything here is solid with the exception of the pelvis, but we'll go into that in a little bit. Alright, so the way the arm goes, obviously this is the part here, which can be interchangeable with a Dark Grim Future mech, because I don't want to get those people mad at me. And it is intended for, excuse me, for use with magnets. Here's the connecting joint for the arm right here. So you can put the magnets here. I don't have magnets, so what you want to do, also available, there's this little spacer, as you can see. So this spacer, if you're going to glue it together to put it in a static pose, it just goes like that. You're going to want to print out 2 of them. That's not stated in the instructions. They're great instructions, by the way. Anyway, so you put that there, you glue that there, and then you're gonna pose it whichever way you want. Okay, that's not an issue. That's pretty cool. And then that part, obviously, I'm gonna go with this option here, and you see where I'm going. Looks really good. Don't mind the mess. This was a quick print, because if I use my usual settings, this whole thing would have taken about 3 weeks to print out. But it came out pretty good with the quick print. Wasn't mad about that. So then your arm cannons are going to go into this upper arm assembly, which is pretty cool. You got a nice gun cluster here. It's got a flamer, las cannon, rotary cannon right here. Here's your rotary drum right there. There is your fuel for your flamer. And if you know, that particular mech has an opening missile rack right there. This can't open. Now for this, I have left the missiles out because it's going to be easier for me to paint them rather than go ahead and put them in and then try to paint it around there. Don't want to deal with that mess. So I'm going to leave these out for now. So now, with my completed plasma gun, again, if you got magnets, it's going to move the way that you want it to move. There's also a piece of shoulder armor right here that's supposed to go here that I haven't put on quite yet. And then that's because I want to paint it. There's another little piece of armor that goes somewhere over here. I honestly can't remember, but it's supposed to be over here somewhere. I got to look at the instructions. Anyway, we'll put that there. Okay, so for this piece, this is where we start having our little bit of issues with. And I don't know if it's because of the way that I printed it or if it's a slight design flaw. So this is the other arm, as you can see. So your cover, your missile pod cover, goes in right there. It's a little tight. You might have to shave down just a little bit right here to make it a little bit more loose, which is fine. It's not that big a deal, because I mean, it will work. Okay. What is the issue that I had could be because of my printer settings. I'm not sure. So this is the little piece. Let me show you one here on the completed one. This piece right here. This is where you see the hinge goes. Okay. So there's 4 holes, guiding holes for this piece. So the idea is that the 4 guide holes, you put this on, boom, sits flat, it's supposed to open. Now you're probably like, well, it looks like it fits fine. It does for me, because what I had to do is cut off 2 of them. Doesn't matter which side, just cut off 2 of them, because these pegs did not align with the guide holes or the guides. Okay. Again, this could be just because of the way I printed it. Super simple fix. You're just cutting off 2 of them, or if you want, cut off 4 of them. I would just cut off 2. That way you still have the guides to hold it in place. Glue that on. And as you can see, it's pretty tight. This is why you want to shave it down. Always test fit everything. So that's what you have there. That's my only issue with that part. And I already assembled this part. This is obviously the cockpit. So what you have with the cockpit, you're going to have 2 options over here. I went with I think these are supposed to be flamers or plasma guns. I can't remember. Anyway, you have these, and then you have little rotary cannons on top of them as well. Head Vulcans, if you will. They look cool. So, like I said, this is supposed to be intended for 28mm. You can see a pilot really sitting in there, fitting in that whole thing, minus the Primaris armor, of course. But the hatch is a little bit too small for a Primaris Marine or even a Firstborn Marine. Not a big deal. Not really a big deal. That's just a thing, a niche thing. This cockpit, and I don't know if my camera's going to be able to show you, but you see how there's a gap right there? So the front of the torso is just a little bit bigger than the rear torso. This whole piece, minus this engine, just a little bit bigger. It's really not a big deal, to be honest with you. All I did was just shift it up so it fits flat against it. Boom, done. It's big. For this engine, you do have an engine cowling that you can put on. I left it off because, again, I'm going to paint this. I'm not going to paint like all of that right there, but it'll be easier for me to get some of these parts in there. I probably should have just left this whole thing out in hindsight. But otherwise, this little cover, it fits on there just fine. I don't see the need to glue it on. So I wouldn't glue it on if I were you. A really nice detail. So as far as this part, this is just pretty much a shell. It goes over this. This is somewhat hollow, the rear torso. It's pretty cool, and I know you can see those little bit of supports. That's another thing. You want to really look at this once it's done printing. There's lots of tiny micro supports, like all over the place. Not a big deal. Most of them you're not even going to notice until you start really getting hands-on with it. But it looks cool. I still like it. So of course you have the obligatory missile rack. This is two pieces. This little piece right here, and then this giant piece right here. Again, intended for magnets, so you can pose it whichever way. Again, I'm not going to do magnets because I don't have any magnets on hand. But they're pretty cool. Left this off. How this goes is on the back of this piece, your shoulder armor. You got this part right here. That's how it's going to go. It's going to be hanging up there. It's going to look cool. Again, I'd probably just, when you're painting it, just leave it apart in subsections, sub-assemblies, paint it up. Leave this part clear, leave this part clear, don't paint it. That way when you glue it, you have no problem with adhesion later down the line. Then you have the sensor, the light. Again, two separate pieces. This big round piece over here, and then the light itself. Set up for magnets. Again, I'm not magnetizing it. The only thing I'd like to see, maybe if there's like a future update, I don't know if this is possible, but I really would have liked the lens to be recessed a bit further back. The reason for that is because the way I'm going to paint it, I was hoping I could use some clear UV resin to lay on top of it, so that way it gets really a nice glass look to it. Just a little nitpick. I don't think it's necessary. Just something I would have liked. But yeah, so you have the choice of, you can put the missile rack on there, or you could put this on here. Interchangeable, doesn't matter which side. You can have two missile racks, two sensors. There is a gun option also, another cannon type option that can go on these. I didn't use it because I'm going for the more classic anime look. If you remember what that is. That'll go there. And really, yeah, that's about it. Not much else to it. And like I said, this is going to be a big boy. I know you can't see it on here. So yeah, this pelvis. This pelvis is hollow. Have it on a level place when you're gluing it together. My table is not leveled. Didn't find that out until I was doing this, because it looked like it was leveled when I was doing it. Unfortunately, the pelvis is leaning back a little bit, so it looks like it's going to end up looking like he does an airstrike. And because I've already glued in this leg, it's got a lean to it. It has a definite lean going this way, which is okay. It should work out. If I hadn't glued this in, then I could have posed the foot a little bit better, but it is what it is. I can always print out another one. Now you might be asking yourself, how much resin does this use? Since everything is pretty much solid. And I'm sure you could hollow it out. In some cases, I just don't know how. Plasma gun, probably put 2 holes right here, punch 2 holes right there. Maybe punch another one over here, one of these cells. I'm not sure how that would look. I guess it would depend on how comfortable you are in repainting and green stuffing. But as far as the feet go, probably put some holes right here on the bottom to drain out. Unfortunately, you wouldn't have a pilot hole. Well, I guess you could put one over here somewhere if you want, so that way allows the air to drain all the way out. And because of the weight, it shouldn't be an issue. But again, how much resin is going to use? All right, so I've got one of those 1 kilogram bottles of the Anycubic Ray resin. It takes about 75% of that. It uses a lot of resin, far more than what I was expecting. Yeah, it takes a lot, but it is so worth it. Definitely pick up this model. And I'm going to cut it off right here. The next video will be the model assembled and me painting it. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. Please check out John Bear Ross on My Mini Factory and on Colts 3D and his Patreon page. He has many big size mechs for a future that is grim and dark in night scale, and they're scaled like up as knights, armigers, really good option parts they have available. And as you saw, you know, you've got that piece right there, which really helps. On the next one that I build, because I'll probably show that one too, there is a rotary saw that John Bear Ross has, JBR, on his Colts 3D page that I've already upscaled to match all these pieces here to fit. It's going to be badass. It's going to look really good. All right, that's about it, y'all. I hope you have a good, safe one. Like I said, I apologize for the audio. It is what it is. Just got to do what I got to do. Take it easy.